Hello YouTube, this is Not a Misfortune, bringing you yet another replay from the Serpents Open it's fall guys. I mean, technically I'm casting it when it's winter, but this is Serpents Open Fall 2020 tournament. Of course, the game is Supreme Commander 2, and if you're wondering, Night of Misfortune has told you guys that you'll be releasing 2 videos per day. Well, after recording that video on Friday, realized I probably shouldn't be doing that while completely and utterly being an incubus for the bubonic plague. So I decided to skip a couple of days. I'm still not fully recovered, but I think my voice is a little better at least. And I think I can finish off the last 2 matches today that I have to cast, after the tournament. And then everything else after these 2 videos, the last 2 quarterfinal matches will obviously be live recorded, so it'll just be put up. So by Wednesday you should have everything ready and done, so that should be exciting. And then of course this weekend is the Invitational. We are getting right up and over with the whole year and the Invitational. Exciting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed 2020, because I certainly have. I mean, of course, the diseases that should not be named have probably taken a toll on all of us. But, I think we had a great year for Supreme Commander 2. We saw a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces, and I think we saw a little bit of a resurgence in the Supreme Commander 2 community. Before we get to this quarterfinal number 3, I already have 1 and 2 on my channel. Just a couple of reminders. Of course, something I already mentioned is the Invitational this weekend. If you have not voted on the predictions, I have a predictions link. I will try to put it in the description of this video, and also it's on all the Discords, so just go to the announcements page of any Subcom 2 Discord. You should be able to find it. The person that gets the most right by the end of the tournament will go or win a prize, which will be announced during the stream. So go ahead and check that out. And of course, watch the Invitational. It's this weekend, December 12th and 13th. And that should be a very, very interesting set of games. And the second thing is, if you have not checked out my Patreon, please go ahead and do so to support this channel as well as the Subcom 2 community. You can either support my channel and the tournament, or just the tournament specifically. I think we can all contribute to the prize pool and make it more fun and more big, if you want to put it that way, for everybody. So go ahead and check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Nite, NITEOM, so Nite OM, and check out the ways you can support me on there. And as always, please do comment and like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my YouTube and Twitch. So that's all that I wanted to say. Let's go ahead and jump into this game. I am paused at 3 seconds. This is, of course, QAI Labs, and the match is between FoxTermelon and, you guessed it, MauganRa. It is our quarterfinal number 3. Let's go ahead and pause in 3, 2, 1, and let's introduce our players. On the left-hand side, we have our red UEF commander, the man that has chosen to go random in this tournament, and building an air factory already. 2 air factories, in fact. It is MauganRa, our leader in the SCS ranking. Let's see what he can come up with in this match against a very, very difficult opponent who is spawning on the other side of QAI Labs in the color of white in his only faction. It is, of course, FoxTermelon. Also starting off with 1 air factory. Well, not also. He is starting with 1 air factory because, of course, MauganRa has grabbed 2. Not exactly sure if I'm a fan of opening up like this, especially when you're opening up wasps, but I think he really wants to win air. And we saw something very similar in the game between Alpha Hex and Osmos. I think it was the anniversary tournament where Osmos opened up. I don't remember what faction he was. I think he was UEF, but Alpha Hex, he was playing against Alpha Hex, and he opened up with 1 or 2, I don't remember, and Alpha definitely opened up with 2. It was 2 very quick air factories, after which Osmos GG'd very quickly. It was I think the quickest game of the SCS circuit. That's actually I've never thought of it that way, but that's definitely true. MauganRa continues to make wasps, by the way, which is very surprising. Let's see if he switches it up, because his opponent, oh, it's actually gunships, very nice. Because his opponent is already moving his commander forward. That engineer is very nicely positioned by MauganRa, using it as a radar over here. Of course, he sees this ACU, at the very least an engineer coming, but I think he can guess that it's an ACU. I think the planes flew right over it. And there's going to be probably a shield here. Oh boy. I would not be surprised if this was our favorite strategy. There's a shield on that factory before anything else. But there are gunships now, so we'll see. This might... what worries me is the lack of bombers. There's just too many wasps at this point for MauganRa. And you can't really do much around the map like this. It looks like, no, there's just going to be a follow-up of crackdowns from our white Aeon commander. And yeah, there was a TML. How did I miss it? There was, in fact, a TML here. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't really like that there's no bombers here. Bombers could maybe chew a little bit through that shield. Now there is a shield coming up, and unfortunately this factory is just a little off position, and you just see how important it is to position your factories in an optimal spot. I think the shields are actually still defending it, but you know, it creates this very awkward situation where, you know, if maybe the TML was a little closer, I think the arc would be a little bigger and it might not be defended. But this factory is very nicely positioned. I really like that. And yeah, I think you could maybe build even 2 more factories and protect it, but that's quite a bit of an investment there. It looks like these gunships have actually gone around. That is a very nice strategy there. Let's see, he's going to pick off that engineer before that factory is complete. Very nicely done. He's going to finish that. Oh my goodness, that second engineer that popped out of the air factory out, but manages to finish off that factory, and that second factory is going to start doing insanely quickly on that shield. And there's an anti-air tower there. That is quite an unfortunate shutdown of MauganRa's tactic there, and FoxTermelon, it feels very comfortable right now, shutting it down, sending the crackdowns backwards. And these gunships, they're not numerous enough yet. Man, those crackdowns are actually very powerful against those gunships. It's actually very, very true. Just looking at them eating away. Of course, there's no shields in those gunships, but still. That is very, very good damage that they're doing here. Let's see if FoxTermelon reclaims these 4 masses here. Looks like another mass extractor goes down for MauganRa. And MauganRa's gunships are just taking a bunch of fire over here. Not really doing anything in exchange. All of the wasps fall. And this engineer is just the luckiest engineer. Wait, how? Oh, there's tanks in here. I was like, how are the crackdowns attacking that engineer? And MauganRa is in quite a bit of trouble. That TML is very, very annoying. Decides to fly in directly into this army. I don't like that decision. Like I said, look at those crackdowns go. There's only like 4 gunships left for MauganRa, and I think this might be it. And in fact, yes, MauganRa decides to control K here in game 1. FoxTermelon taking a quick 1-0 lead, and I don't know why my game just died there, and maybe both players left probably, or maybe MauganRa just disconnected because this was probably his replay. I don't know, but that is interesting. I've never seen anything like that. Very interesting game, and we see similarities between FoxTermelon's play here and some of his other games. So he must have prepared the strategy for the tournament. So very nicely done. We're going to go to game 2 in just a bit. Don't go anywhere. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to game 2 between FoxTermelon and MauganRa. This one is on Igneous. Pretty similar-ish map, I want to say, but before we talk about it a little more, let's go ahead and introduce our players, starting with our random player over here in the top left-hand corner of the Igneous. We have our red Aeon commander, MauganRa, who's popping down at 2 land factories. I don't know if I'm a fan. We've been hearing a lot from some of the other pros that land just does not do very well on this map. Another side of Igneous, plopping down at 2 air factories, something that's a little more standard on this map. We have our white Aeon commander with the name of FoxTermelon. And it always amuses me how the commanders look when they twist their torso 180 degrees around. It looks so funny, but you know, whatever. Looks like FoxTermelon is going to be sending out his Wasp, not trying to do any shenanigans there. It's going to see all of this land coming, and there's actually Harvogs coming out. Now that could be very interesting because of course Harvogs are pretty fast, and obviously they have that coveted anti-air upgrade, so that could be very useful. I think MauganRa is going to wait for a couple more bots here. Probably going to upgrade the anti-air. Yep, pretty much right away. Probably just got enough resources to do that. Research resources. Research is also a resource. And FoxTermelon is going to go around instead, going to go look for some other targets. Wisely noting that he has time before these bots hit his base. Nope, looks like he does turn around. MauganRa doing a very good job splitting. Only one bot goes down. But these bots aren't doing a whole lot to these planes just yet. Splitting is going to be key. Let's see if what FoxTermelon decides to continue bombing. Another bot. And already these planes are in the net positive mass for mass. And it's curious that MauganRa is not really prioritizing any more anti-air back here. That could be very dangerous because he is investing a lot into mass, expanding with both of his engineers to the back island here. He really does need to protect it with an anti-air tower. Looks like 2 more bots go down. A third one goes down here. Still, oh no, first Wasp does end up going down. Sorry, not Wasp, but Weedabov. I've been struggling with the names of units lately. Hopefully it's going to be fixed by this weekend. Another Weedabov does go down. And now it is, I believe, 6 bots for 2 Weedabovs. That is not a bad trade, and now that anti-air is coming out. So that is good. I think he should have probably done it a little earlier because if Fox was a little more decisive, I think he shouldn't have been really concentrating on these bots too much here. Very interesting choice of strategy by MauganRa on this map. I actually don't think I saw MauganRa play on this map yet. An anti-air tower is going to come down here in the center. A little bit worse split here, but still only 1 bot goes down. No Wasps have gone down, and this is going to be really key for MauganRa to split his units the most effectively. Yes, good. Decent split. Only 1. I don't know if that was a split fire. Now there's flares on those planes, and MauganRa is going to wisely back off here. Nope, he's not going to back up. He's going to re-engage here. And no, I think so far still only 3 Weedabovs have gone down, but they're flying really just over these Harvogs here. That's not the best. Both players miss-microing here a little bit. MauganRa not splitting his units in the most advantageous way, but this is going to be a pretty big win for MauganRa. I think if he can pick off this engineer should be the priority. Very nicely done by MauganRa. Shutting down that expansion is actually pretty key here. He is going to manage to get that, and that is pretty big. For 1 bot, he actually manages to create a very decent diversion here. I don't know if that was his design to only send 3 bots here to divert this whole attention, because FoxTermelon obviously wanted to save that engineer. I think his reaction was just a little slow. And yeah, that was a brilliant play by MauganRa, not quite so much by FoxTermelon. But MauganRa's forces are sort of dwindling here. I'm becoming more and more concerned as there's 4 air factories now for our white Aeon commander. And those planes are starting to reach that critical mass beyond which your commander is very much in danger. Help me, I am in danger. Where is MauganRa's commander, by the way? Ah, yes, that is very nicely done. Not finishing this engineering or energy generator though, but he is going underwater, which is exactly what you want to be doing here. And it's going to be hard for FoxTermelon to really do enough damage here to really, you know, cripple MauganRa. Looks like MauganRa is going to stand out here outside the water, which is a decent enough decision. He can just take his ACU underwater whenever he sees the planes coming, and he can continue building with it. So that is a pretty good decision. It looks like FoxTermelon is going to try and fly around here. There's not really an expansion here for MauganRa, so let's see. He actually turns around. Okay, very interesting. And if I was FoxTermelon, I honestly, like, MauganRa is not pushing. I think his mistake here is not taking out some of these mass extractors. And MauganRa's is really by clumping these bots here. That's not what you want to see. Another Weedabov does go down here, but really they're not going down quickly enough. Let's go ahead and speed this game up to 5. Another bombing run, taking out the shield in that factory. Engineer is going to rebuild that 4th land factory here. That's an overkill on the energy generator. There could be a little bit of a better split fire by FoxTermelon. Only targeting one bot or one structure. That's it's not the most optimal use, I would say. A lot of energy generators coming down. And let's see if you can guess what MauganRa is going for. And what do you guess FoxTermelon is going for? Building a row of energy generators like that. And we saw MauganRa do a similar play as this against Osmos. I believe it was in the... Was it the playoff? No, it wasn't the playoff. Who did he play against? Or when did they play with Osmos? Was it the summer tournament? I forget, but it was on Boolean Complex that they played. Slow this down a bit. And Osmos was about to win. Oh, that's a nasty clump by MauganRa. There's actually no reason for him to be even clumping there. That's quite unfortunate. Oh man, another clump, but this one doesn't go as well for FoxTermelon. And you can just see these bots, you know, numerously. If they have the numbers, they become very deadly. It looks like MauganRa wants to come back here. I'm not quite sure about that decision. Looks like a little bit indecisive about what he wants to do. Maybe he's just microing with the air so that he can do as much damage as he can. That would certainly be a good plan here. Nicely done. Nice split here. Just a little bit too much going over there to the top. And I'm not sure what the point of that was. Does end up going all the way back to his position here. And look at the amount of factories he's managing to squeeze in. But anyway, in that game against Osmos, MauganRa had a similar strategy with the teleport. I think he just tanked against the superior air forces of Osmos and managed to snipe there at the end. Of course, Osmos's army was a little out of position. And by the way, FoxTermelon is not going to get sniped here because his commander is underneath the water, as it should be. And you know, FoxTermelon is just only starting to plop down more air factories, and I think that's a little late. Looks like he did prioritize the research station here quite a bit. And that's a lot of factories for MauganRa, so he might take control here of this island because these wasps are starting... Why do I keep calling them wasps? It's quite unfortunate. These Weedabovs are starting to go down. Despite their flares, despite their shields, the rate of fire on these bots against the air is just very, very high. Look at that. That amount of anti-air. That is quite insane. And again, FoxTermelon just insists on bombarding one target. You have so many planes. Look at that. Even, well, here he split a little bit, so that was better. But really, to get the optimum, you have to have at least 4 targets if you're bombarding land forces, and 2 targets if you're bombarding shielded buildings at this point. It's not, that's a lot of air, and you're really not, it's very awkward for me to say that FoxTermelon is not utilizing his air most efficiently. He's actually doing very well with it. I think for the average subcom player, he's doing very well with it, but it's just being used to what FoxTermelon does with his air is just incredibly disappointing to see him not do more with it like he can. It looks like MauganRa's forces have finally reached that critical amount, and The problem is not necessarily that they're killing these Weedo buffs at this point. The problem is that there's just so many of them, and the Weedo buffs are just not killing them fast enough. If MauganRa was doing a better job splitting them, they would actually do way more damage here. It looks like he does manage to crush through this base, and that's actually quite a bit of a loss for FoxTermelon here, because these were, like I said, core mass extractors, vetted mass extractors, and every single one of them falls here. I don't know what that engineer is doing. And with my dying breath, I shall build this radar, but not quite. Oh, very interesting. It looks like FoxTermelon is gonna decide to go back here. There's a lot of gunships coming out. But oh my goodness, it feels so bad to be criticizing Fox, because he's just an amazing player. But I have to go back to one of my videos and ask him, what is the reason he's going gunships here? Gunships are not going to win him in this game. I think if he went We'll Find Ya, that would be a much better plan here, because these gunships can't do anything to this commander who is in deep water. I think even if he wasn't in deep water, these gunships wouldn't be able to do anything. Because from what I understand, when planes ground fire, it is the splash damage that actually does the damage to the ACU. And it looks like MauganRa is going to grab firm control here of this island, but unfortunately he won't be able to do much else. I don't think there's enough of a teleport range to be going to this other island. Yeah, and I don't think these bots have enough radar to see these gunships either. So I'm not quite sure what MauganRa is doing here. Split your units, MauganRa. Finish off that mass extractor. There you go. And yeah, MauganRa has control now of the main island. Looks like gonna finish off his expansion here. I'm not sure why he continues to get this many land factories. Yeah, the reason why I'm asking why these gunships is, again, the commander is underwater, and gunships are really only good for sniping. But I guess if he sends this many gunships across the map, he might just very slowly but surely roll over this entire base, and that would be just like a complete base trade situation. Which is why I think tanks are needed for MauganRa to just go in and snipe this commander. That's how you beat gunships in this situation, is by being mobile and trying to just outposition your opponent and sniping him before he can send his gunships to finish off the base. God, that is a ridiculous amount of gunships, but somehow... And again, I think gunships actually are the worst unit against Harvog composition. So that's another reason why I'm asking why. It's a very curious decision. Defensive teleport. Not sure why. All it does is clump your units. That is a lot of anti-air. Holy Jesus. But that's just a blob of gunships that's not going to go down. There's so much fire going on right now. Absolute insanity. Wow. All the Weedo buffs go down, so no more splitting needed by MauganRa. What is the follow-up here from MauganRa? Just looks like more factories. Looks like he's going to commit heavily to this Harvog play. Wow, that is a lot of anti-air. Yeah, and these gunships just are not efficient against small targets, small numerous targets like this. I really feel like FoxTermelon was just better off sticking with Weedo buffs here. Because yeah, these gunships are going to live forever, and he should absolutely have started doing what he's doing now earlier, but now the problem is that a lot of these shields are down. Look at that, a lot of these gunships are actually in red or yellow. And again, they're not going to take off this army very efficiently. There's a lot of anti-air here also. Goodness gracious. And look, MauganRa even sending a small part of his... Not even a small part, like a quarter of his army here to the front. These gunships are slowly falling. They're doing a lot of damage, but they've only taken out like maybe a sixth of the factories that MauganRa has. That is so much anti-air. That is absolutely incredible. Wow. And these gunships are done. These gunships are absolutely done. And it looks like here somebody disconnected, but there's no actual explosion. That's pretty unsatisfying. But I do know that FoxTermelon did lose this game. And very interesting play by MauganRa. You know, it's very... Besides this awkward switch into gunships, I'm having a very hard time pinpointing exactly what FoxTermelon did wrong. I think the decision not to go land was absolutely the right decision after you see Harvogs come out. I think it was ultimately not going forward with your Weedaboffs and trying to snipe off these core mass extractors, because he was spending a lot of time here and he was trying to like snipe something here, but he kept scouting it and there was nothing there at the time. He kept backing off. So if he just spent a couple of bombing runs on the core mass extractors, I don't think there was any engineers back here. Even though these factories would be able to rebuild the engineer and that engineer could rebuild these factories or these mass extractors, it would ultimately be very efficient for him because these obviously are more vetted extractors. So I feel like that was just a missed opportunity and that could have been done to slow down his opponent. But then again, that awkward switch into gunships was just way too awkward. Anyway, that's enough for this game. MauganRa manages to tie it up 1-1. We're going to go to our final map to decide who goes on to the semi-final. I'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third and final game of this quarterfinal match number 3 between MauganRa and FoxTermelon. MauganRa managing to tie it up on Igneous. Let's see if he can continue to do so. He is spawning up in the top part of Coalition Shipyard as our red Cybran commander and plopping down 2 land factories. And on the bottom we have our white Aeon commander with the name of FoxTermelon, who has plopped down 1 air factory. So, you know, I'm still going back and forth between what is better to open up on this map. I feel like this map is exciting because you can open up with either strategy and it being fairly efficient. Because if you're opening up with land, it's usually a rush tactic on this map. And it looks like MauganRa has been playing way too much against iron and or studying iron, because he's trying to do the iron play with all these bots. And yeah, you're doing exactly this, but at this point, I think Iron would be pulling back his loyalists. Absolutely would be pulling back his loyalists because he sees air, and you really need to conserve your bots. Like these, even if this bot gets here, which there's no way he is, he's not going to do any damage, and the scouting is already done for by your opponent. So a little bit of an inefficiency. Just like I said, even if this bot gets here, he's not going to live long enough to really do any damage against anything but a radar. Doing a nice job splitting here. Brackmen are now coming out. Not sure if he saw this land factory, but probably not. And FoxTermelon is also going to switch to land here, wisely noting that he's probably going to be a little outmatched in air or land forces here. And I think what MauganRa could be doing is, instead of teching adapters, he could be pushing the center with more anti-air towers and really focusing on that land. Maybe even getting a couple of... maybe even teching to Megalith, I mean. And I feel like this is playing passive without really needing to do so. Again, I'm starting to think that adapters are really not the way to go against air. But who knows? This is a good late game play, I want to say. But the push down the center and taking the middle is more of an early mid game. So it looks like MauganRa is gonna want to play that little bit of a longer game. The problem is that, again, on this map, these mass extractors are a little farther away. So by not pushing and staying, you know, this is a pretty turtley composition. By that I mean he's going to have to stay in one spot with it for it to be the most efficient. By doing that, he's also opening up his flanks, because depending on where he is, especially being back like he is right now, this Air Force is going to do exactly what it's doing right now. Gonna go and try and find good targets to pick off. And I think this is 8 Wasps here. God damn it, I did it again. 8 Weedu Boffs here that are enough to snipe off an engineer. So very nicely done. No, actually that's 7. Awkward number to be going up. But there's the 8th right there, so not bad. Shields already for FoxTermelon. And it's really interesting to see. I feel like game 1 and game 3 for MauganRa have not been the most tactically sound decisions. And it's so awkward because MauganRa is usually the one that really does make solid decisions in his play. Like, no matter what, I feel like his decisions are very creative and very correct. Oftentimes are correct. Whereas players like Iron and FoxTermelon rely on maybe one strategy and maybe micro or macro of some sorts to really crush their opponents. MauganRa really relies on his strategy selection and his follow-up selection. So it's very interesting to see him going adapters here. But then again, I think MauganRa knows much more things about this game than I do. I'm just a dumbass caster. Trying to weigh in my opinion, trying to sound a little smart. See, that's the problem, is that you know that FoxTermelon is probably going to go nothing but tanks. And tanks are quite good against this composition mid-game. So this is absolutely not a mid-game. Oh my goodness gracious. Brilliant. Brilliant fire by FoxTermelon, even though he loses his Air Force. Oh, okay. And then he walks into Brackman fire. Okay, so this kind of equated a little bit. He's still managing to pick up a lot of forces here. This is a good game. This is a very good game, and you see a little bit of resurgence by both players. Again, I just don't like the selection of the strategy by MauganRa. It looks like he's trying to push, but he's not playing for pushing exactly. Like, this would work against somebody that's below Fox's level, but again, you know he's gonna go tanks. Unless this would be a good thing if he opened up with double air, which may be what MauganRa was thinking, but yeah, who knows? Now there's MMLs on the field, point defenses, very characteristic FoxTermelon play. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust my camera here. I realize it's not very good, well placed there, and I don't understand why he's pushing. Yeah, decides to back off here. Like, if you play like this, you're playing for Megalith, I feel like. Or you're playing for very, very high production games. Look at this factory, by the way. I love this. If he starts producing land forces here, he can just walk across this land. Wow, that's actually something I've never thought about, but that is very cool. Just walk across this sea bridge. Almost sounds like an oxymoron here. Nice teleports by FoxTermelon, and yeah, again, you know FoxTermelon is gonna go. It's tank composition. Control K unnecessary on this side. Was that a? Oh, there's a mobile missile launchers here. Okay, that was just a pick off. Never mind. Yeah, so this composition does very well against, or very poorly against teleport. So again, I'm really not sure what MauganRa did this game. He's gonna lose his base, and that, ladies and gentlemen, I think is gonna be it. Now he goes Megalith, so he did want to play for that Megalith, but teleport is just too good in this map, and a 15-minute Megalith is not that good on this map because teleport is gonna kick in way earlier than that. Yeah, so it's an interesting choice of strategy by MauganRa, and I think if he's watching this, he might agree with me. I'm hoping I'm not totally useless, but very interesting game nevertheless. I think these games are very, very educational to you newer players to see what you think and what you would have done in this situation. I think on this map it's very hard to play the way that MauganRa played. So, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, again, please do thumbs up and comment on this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Patreon. I have one more video coming up after this that I have to record, and then I will see you in the Invitational Tournament. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and have a good rest of your day.